Here's a nugget of information you may have missed in all of the news coverage of Minnesota's extreme abortion legislation just signed into law by Governor Tim Walz. Now, this legislation made its way through both the Minnesota Senate and the Minnesota House. And when we were debating it on the House floor, there was an attempt by Republicans to require that abortion facilities be licensed. Now, that attempt did not prevail, but I want you to take note of this conversation, this back and forth that was taking place on the House floor regarding licensure. Check it out.
The following facilities for health and safety are licensed: dental offices, physicians' offices, nursing services, professional counseling services, facilities for persons with developmental disabilities, foster homes, adult foster care, adult daycare, nail salons, tattoo salons, surgical centers, facilities that handle biological specimens, birthing centers. There are many more in the state of Minnesota. Licenses that require inspections on healthcare facilities to make sure that the patients entering those facilities are safe. Not so with abortion facilities. This amendment would require the licensing of abortion facilities. It's putting guardrails, safety, and protection for that mom seeking an abortion. There are 22 other states that do this. There are other countries that do this. Let's not be out on the extreme.
Providers are licensed. Facilities are not licensed. Abortion is one of the safest medical procedures performed in the United States, and this is a medically unnecessary restriction designed solely to make it harder for people to access this health care. I would ask members to vote no.
But this language is not new. This idea is not new. At least it's not new to us as legislators. But I'll tell you what, when you talk to Minnesotans, when you talk to your friends, when you talk to your neighbors, and they find out that an abortion facility is not licensed, is not regulated, is not inspected in the state of Minnesota, that is certainly news to them. It's shocking. Anyone I talk to about this, they can't believe it. We're not going to license facilities that are performing abortions in their facility? These are invasive procedures. Things that absolutely, you think that that can't lead to infection? More so than a hangnail at a nail salon?
I am rising just to share something even more shocking based upon what colleagues across the aisle have said. Dental facilities aren't licensed in Minnesota. Dentists are licensed. So dentists are in, they're flossing our teeth, they're getting all sorts of bacteria and everything everywhere. Some dental procedures are very invasive.
The clerk will take the roll on the Scott Amendment. There being 65 ayes and 69 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment is not adopted.
So there you see Democrats voted down licensing abortion clinics, medical facilities where these extremely invasive procedures take place. Now, the reason why that's noteworthy above and beyond its own merit is a little bit over a week later, around a week later, in the Public Safety Committee, we considered another bill that's now making its way through the legislature, House File 91, that is meant to repeal the few feeble remaining restrictions we have on abortion. And during that debate in committee, we were taken to task by the author, Tina Liebling, regarding our desire to have parental notification when minors go in seeking an abortion. And a little nugget ended up manifesting in that back and forth that proved very relevant to our previous House floor debate on House File 1. Check this out.
Now, again, we could, as a legislature, we could go back and re-debate how much minors should be able to consent. But the point of this is that abortion is really no different than other kinds of things that minors currently can consent to. So, but as for the specifics on what's been said about trafficking and all that, I think other members could probably address that much better than I could.
Traffickers use getting the girl pregnant and having the baby as a means of control. If you think that there's other means of control that's going to be more effective than knowing that there's a small child in the mix, I can't think of what that is. And I know many survivors who said, listen, I would have gotten out of that thing a long time earlier if it hadn't been for being put in this situation. We're talking about a baby with the trafficker. We're talking about a child with the men who have, and I call it commercial sexual assault, is what this is, right? It's where money takes the place of consent. Completely agree with that. What do we think happens with commercial sexual assault? There is actual sex involved, and impregnation happens.
Representative Pinto made reference to the mandated reporting requirement. I happen to have here a document from the Department of Human Services which speaks to the mandated reporter policy, and they got a bullet point here in describing who has to report. They say, if you work with children in a licensed facility, you are legally required to mandate or mandated to report. Now, the argument that you're making here may have made sense had the majority on the House floor last week accepted our amendment to license these facilities. Instead, we were told that, facilities don't get licensed. You might want to let the Department of Human Services know that.